Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace. If this is your first time here, I am currently pregnant with twins. And last week I had kind of a part 1 to this video, which I will link down below, where I talked about all of my insane, crazy symptoms that I had in the first trimester. So this is kind of the part 2. It's going to be kind of a catch-all video. I'm going to be talking about, you know, tips, tricks, things that I learned, things I wish I knew, some things that I purchased that really helped me, etc., cravings, all that kind of stuff. So, I already filmed this video once and it didn't record. I mean, it did, but it was like, the file was mixed up. So, I'm just gonna chillax for this one, okay? So, anyway, I'm gonna jump right in. I'm gonna start with some of the things that I purchased. I am definitely a budget-friendly gal, and going into this pregnancy, I was like, I'm not gonna buy a bunch of frivolous stuff that I will only use for these 9 months. But then I found out I'm having twins, and there's definitely some things that I ended up getting that have really, really helped me. But none of the things that I'm talking about are absolute must-haves. These are just things that I got that really did make my life a little bit easier and a little bit more pleasant, and my first trimester was not very pleasant, so take this all with a grain of salt, but I hope that this might prove helpful to you. So first off, I'm going to start with these guys right here. You probably have seen these before. They've been around for a long time. They're called C-bands. They sit on your wrist like this. So basically what they're for, they're made for people that have motion sickness, which is something that I have always suffered from. Car sickness, plane sickness, boat sickness, roller coasters, all that kind of stuff. So basically on the band there's this little bead, and apparently there's like a pressure point in your wrist that connects to like your equilibrium or something. I'm not exactly sure all the science behind it, but I've had these for years and they're only a couple dollars. You can get them like anywhere. Amazon, Walmart, Walgreens, everywhere. And they really do help with my motion sickness. I get severe motion sickness, so I usually kind of like pair it with Dramamine, but I do feel like they really do help. So once I started getting nauseous with my pregnancy, which I've had severe nausea, I just went ahead and popped these on. Y'all, I didn't take them off. I never took them off. I wore them 24/7 for basically the first 13 weeks of my pregnancy. The only times I would take them off is when I would get in the shower. And did this make my nausea go away? No. No. My nausea was severe. But do I think that it helped? I think so. So the only time that I wouldn't wear them is when I would get out of the shower. Sometimes I would forget to put them back on. And you guys, I think that I could notice that I was like getting more nauseous when I didn't have these on. So, is this going to cure your morning sickness? No. But is this just a safe, harmless way to potentially help a little bit? Yes. No, they're not the cutest thing in the whole world, but who really cares if you're feeling that miserable? So I would suggest just picking up a pair of these. You know, it's not going to hurt anything, and I do believe that it helped me at least a little bit. Next up, this makes me feel like such a grandma for recommending this, but you guys, this has made my life just a little bit easier, and that is a pill organizer. So, if you are having a pregnancy where you're only having to take a prenatal, which might be 1 or 2 pills a day, you probably don't need this. This would be overkill. Let me paint you a picture of how many pills I'm having to take and supplements because of my twin pregnancy. So, my prenatal, which I'm going to talk about next, I have 2 pills a day. Okay? Then, because I'm having twins, I'm taking a folic acid supplement and an iron supplement. That's what my doctor wants me to have. Then, because of my severe constipation, which I mentioned in my last video, I'm taking a fiber supplement, which the fiber supplement that I have is 5 pills a day. Okay, so that's 9 pills right there. I'm taking a magnesium supplement, which also helps with the constipation and is also just good for pregnancy stuff anyway. And then on top of that, I'm taking a B6 vitamin in the morning to help with my nausea. So that's 11 pills. That's not even everything that I'm taking, because I have 2 prescription medications for my nausea. One I take at night, so I just have that on my nightstand. And then the other one I take sporadically throughout the day, and so I just keep it in my purse. Some days I'll take one, some days I'll take two. Some days, like this morning, I forgot to take it all together, and then I started to get really nauseous. So I don't put those medications in here because they're kind of on their own schedule. But for all of my daily pills, this has helped me so much. I don't take all 11 pills at the same time in the morning. I take about half in the morning before I go to work, and then I'll take the other half in the evening when I get back from work. And you guys, I'm pretty organized and I can keep a routine. I can remember to take medication, but pregnancy brain is a real thing. And I have been forgetting so many things since being pregnant. And if I didn't have this, those second half of the pills that I'm supposed to take in the evening, I would never remember. So this helps me to remember that. I bought this from Walmart for like $2 or $3. I got a big one so it fits all 11 of my pills, including the magnesium supplement, which is like the size of a small child. It's enormous, and this has just been a lifesaver. So I do recommend this if you're having a pregnancy like me and you're having to take a lot of pills and supplements. Next, we're going to talk my prenatal. Now, my prenatal, it's a popular one, so it's probably one that you have heard of, but it's definitely not necessarily for everybody. So don't feel like I'm pressuring you to get this prenatal. I'm of course not the least bit sponsored. I am not important enough to be sponsored, but I am taking the Ritual prenatal. So I don't know if viral brand is the right terminology, but this is talked about a lot. They have more than just prenatals, but their prenatal is kind of what everyone talks about. So the reason I started taking Ritual was I had heard that before you conceive, it's good if you can start taking prenatals a few months before, just to get your body like in good shape for, you know, starting to create a baby. So I started taking Ritual, and then my husband and I, we got pregnant a little bit faster than we thought we were, so I only took this for like 2 months before I conceived, and then I just kept taking it, and I have really liked it. So the downside to Ritual is it is on the pricier side. So this bottle is for 1 month supply, and it's like $35 to $37 a month. It is a subscription service, which is super convenient for that pregnancy brain to I never have to worry about running out. So that's convenient, but $35 to $37 a month is pretty expensive for a prenatal. Now, the reason why I got really sold on Ritual, and I will try to describe this properly. I would encourage you to go on their website and look it up yourself, because I'm not medical and I don't know if I'm going to describe this properly. But folic acid, that is one of the most, if maybe not the most important vitamin or supplement that you're supposed to take during pregnancy. It's very important for your baby's development. But the interesting thing, folic acid in that form, which many prenatals have it as folic acid, especially gummy vitamins, I've heard, like 30 to 40% of people cannot digest or break down folic acid properly. And you wouldn't know that unless you go and get that tested. But that's a pretty huge chunk of the population, 30 to 40%. So the way that Ritual has the folic acid, it's in the form of folate, which anyone and everyone can break that down. And so you are guaranteed to be able to get that folic acid, folate, to your baby. And since I'm having two, I'm hyper conscious that, I'm growing multiple babies. And so I really need that folate. So that was really a selling point for me. The other thing I like about it, it's coated in this like lemony tasting stuff. Some people, that's like the only negative I hear about Ritual is the price and the lemon. Some people hate the lemon. They think they're like drinking Pledge, which I kind of understand. But you guys, some of these pills that I'm taking taste so nasty, like terrible. And I'm pretty good about swallowing pills, but sometimes if I can't, like, it's gag inducing. This does not give me that. It's a nice taste and I like it. And then the last thing that I really like about Ritual is that it hasn't had any negative effects on my stomach at all. I've heard that's pretty common with prenatals, is women, like, they'll take it at night so that they don't have to experience like digesting their prenatal because it like rips up their stomach. And my stomach was already getting ripped up because of my nausea and my vomiting. I've never had any issue with Ritual at all. I've taken it on an empty stomach, on a full stomach. I always take it in the morning. It has never had a bad effect on me. So I really like Ritual and I'm happy with it. They also have a postnatal vitamin, so I'm sure I'll start just switching over to that once the babies are here. But I mean, there's definitely cheaper options for sure out there. But for me, I'm willing to splurge a little bit on the prenatal because that's really important to me, and I'll not splurge on some other things. Next, we are going to talk books. Now, I am a book gal and I'm a research fiend. So as soon as I became pregnant, I wanted to get all the information. This is my first pregnancy, so there's a lot that I didn't know. So I did purchase a couple books. Some of the books, well, one of the books I'm going to talk about, I got off the Libby app, which is the library app. So if you're interested in reading any of these, feel free, check your library, they might have it. But for me, I'm kind of a slow reader, and I'm a school teacher, so to be totally honest, at the end of the day, sometimes I don't really feel like reading a book because I just spent so much time teaching and book stuff just out the wazoo. So I'm kind of a slow reader. So I purchased most of these because I knew I wasn't going to get through them in like the 2 weeks that the library lets you have them. But, you know, for sure, check your library app. So first one I did get from the library, so I don't have a physical copy, but I will put a picture up here somewhere floating around my head. And this is not multiple pregnancy specific, this is just pregnancy specific. So whether you are having a singleton or multiple, I encourage you to read this, especially if this is your first pregnancy, but also if this isn't your first pregnancy, but you kind of felt like unequipped or you didn't really understand all the things that your doctor was throwing at you. This is just a great book, and it's called Expecting Better, and it's by Emily Oster. Emily Oster is an economist, so her mind really works in like numbers and statistics, and she was a research fiend for her pregnancy, and she researched so much that like her friends and family were all coming to her to ask for advice, and so she just decided to write a book about it. It's fascinating, you guys, and it's a really conversational, easy read. It's not like heady and, you know, statistic-y or anything. It's easier to understand, but basically the gist of the book is all of those pregnancy like no-brainers, like just the accepted facts that we all hear in pregnancy from your doctor, from your mom, from your best friend. Things like, don't eat deli meat, don't sleep on your back, you know, don't take this medication, blah, 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 blah. All those things that are just rules and like common pregnancy knowledge. She goes in on those things and has the facts, she has the scientific studies, and then she just presents the material for you to then make your own educated decision. It's fascinating how many of these like pregnancy rules were like based on studies back in the 50s when we didn't have the medical equipment or the medical knowledge that we do now, and some of the things really don't have much leg to stand on. The chapter in particular that I really found eye-opening was the one about medication and pregnancy, because it's always scary taking any kind of medication while being pregnant. So she breaks down like the different categories that medication gets put under, why different medications are put here, how different medications affect your baby, things like that. I just found it super interesting because I'm taking so much for this. I wanted to make sure that what I was putting into my body was going to be okay for my babies and safe for them. So it's a fascinating book. It goes over so many different topics, from like labor, delivery, medication, food, skincare, so many different things. So I encourage you guys to read it just to educate yourself. It's very helpful. Okay, so my next book is multiple specific, and if you have watched any other videos kind of like this, you've probably already seen this recommended to you. It's everywhere, but it's worth it, and it's this guy right here. It's called When You're Expecting Twins, Triplets, or Quads, Proven Guidelines for a Healthy Multiple Pregnancy. So this is written by 3 different doctors who specialize in multiple pregnancies. It is so interesting, you guys. And yes, it's huge. It's like over 600 pages, and it is from the medical viewpoint, but it's easy to understand. It's not like you're reading a medical textbook. I am not medical, and I understand what this is going through, and I find it very interesting. I have not read this whole book yet, because it's so huge. I'm going kind of slowly, but I've learned so much. And why I think this is almost vital. So out of everything I'm talking about, this might be my most, like, must purchase. So I feel very lucky. Oh, here's my kitty cat. Hi. Hi. You want to say hi? She's just going to show you her butt. That's cute. Cat butt. So I feel very lucky because my doctor, my OB, has quite a bit of experience with multiples, and on top of that, his wife had twins like last year, so he can see it from both sides. So I feel very lucky, but I have heard from a number of people some kind of horror stories about their OB or their midwife not really having much experience with multiples, and some of the advice that they give is not exactly correct. And I'm not telling you to like go in and distrust your medical provider, but with a book like this, it kind of arms you as a mom and as a woman going in to your appointments, that you know what the different tests are, you know what your measurements should look like, you know the terminology when they spew. That's another thing I really like about my doctor. He breaks things down, he explains things really clearly, but a lot of doctors don't do that. And so if your doctor or midwife says something that you just feel a little uneasy, you can check that book and kind of cross-reference to see if what they say, because they do have a lot of experience with multiples, if it lines up. And if it doesn't line up, that's a conversation to have with your doctor or your midwife. So I highly, highly recommend that book, and it's just fascinating stuff anyway. Next up, I have not read this entire book yet. I just got it recently, but I've only read a couple of the chapters, and I already am really enjoying it and learning a lot, so I feel like I can recommend it, and that is What to Do When You're Having Two, and it's by Natalie Diaz, who is the founder of Twiniversity. So this also is twin specific, of course. If you're having twins, you're probably already familiar with Twiniversity, and if not, please go check it out. It's so useful. It's a huge website, blog, community. They have courses, articles. It's all over the place. It's so many things, and it's not just pregnancy, obviously. It's pregnancy, but through your entire twin life. And it has, you know, it's all from a mom's perspective. And that's what I like about this, because the book I was just talking about is from the medical perspective. This is from the practical mom perspective. So there's checklists in here. There's just practical, like, by the second trimester, you should be doing this and this. And, like, if you go through this, do that, you know, like, I don't know. It's just, I'm describing this so well, I know. It's just really, really helpful, I find, and it goes from pregnancy through their first year, so I know I'm going to be referring back to this a lot in the next year and a half or so. So, super easy read. She sounds like she's just your friend telling you about, you know, what it's going to be like being a twin mama. It's very interesting, so highly recommend this. So then my last book that I'm going to talk about is not twin specific. This is just pregnancy specific, and this would especially be for first time parents. So it is The Simplest Baby Book in the World by Stephen Gross, or Gross, I'm not sure. So I originally bought this for my husband because I fancy myself as someone who actually kind of already has a lot of baby experience. I have babysat since I was a young teen. I have worked with kids in my job for years and years, and I've been really, really close to my nieces and nephews through their babyhood and to childhood. So I feel like I'm kind of, you know, I don't feel totally unprepared for having babies, but my husband doesn't have so much experience. So I originally bought this for him. He does not like books very much, but this book, like, look at it. It's just big and bold and easy to read, lots of illustrations. It's called a grab and do guide, and I absolutely feel like that's the perfect description of this. And this isn't for pregnancy, it's for once your baby is here, but it's so interesting, and I've been learning so much, you guys. Like, how to give your baby a sponge bath, how to swaddle your baby, sleep training, solid food milestones, breastfeeding stuff. It's just, there's so much. How to schedule your baby, so many things. So, yeah, I think this is great. I've really enjoyed looking through it, and I know we're gonna refer to this a lot. So yeah, this definitely recommend, whether you're having singleton, multiple, whatever. If this is your first baby, I think this is a great book. And then my last thing, it's sort of bookish, but not really a book, but it is a book. It's a book, not a book, you know? And that is a twin pregnancy journal. So I love journaling and questions and things like that, and sorry, I have the hiccups. This is a twin pregnancy journal. So as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I wanted a pregnancy journal, pregnancy log for my own memories, but also to show my kids someday. Then I found out it was twins. So I'm glad that I didn't just run out and buy a pregnancy journal, because I found out there aren't a whole lot of twin pregnancy journals, let alone, I'm sorry for you triplet or quad moms, I just don't think they exist. So, of course, you could just go out and get a regular one and just write everything twice, but I wanted something twin-specific, so I checked Etsy, and the only things on Etsy I could really find were, like, digital ones, and I didn't want a digital one. It's not really my thing. So this I ended up finding on Amazon, but I think it's actually kind of like a small business that just uses Amazon. And it's cool. It's very customizable. You can change the cover. You can customize what it says on here. Mine says Cassidy Twins because that's our last name, and then I chose this little mantra to put under there, but you can customize that, and it's just cool. There's lots of places to put your ultrasound pictures and your bump pictures, and you can track your progress and track names that you're interested in and your family history and so many different things. You can write letters to your future babies, all those kind of things. So I'm really excited by this. I've really been enjoying filling it out. There's a whole lot of like twin pregnancy, like first year, like the baby's first year. There's a whole bunch of those for twins, but the actual pregnancy journal was really hard to find. So I will link all of these things in the description bar, by the way. They'll all be linked. So I'm happy with that. So I'm almost done. Just a couple more things. But I want to talk about a couple of just tips or like let yourself off the hook kind of things. First off, I'm going to talk food. Okay. You guys, I think it's common. Every woman, whenever you find out you're pregnant, you think, I'm going to be so healthy. I'm not going to put anything into my body that does not feed and, heal my babies and, make them the best babies they can be. That is such a good sentiment. And if that has been your journey, good for you. That was not my journey in my first trimester. You guys, I was so sick, so nauseous and vomity. I had to eat what my body would let me eat, which wasn't much. Now my cat is biting me. Okay, this is my bed, This is my bed. So you don't get to bite me on my own bed. So anyway, I could keep so few types of food down, and for some reason, and this isn't my typical food, like typically I'm a pretty healthy person, the only thing that my body would let me really like digest and eat were like Hot Pockets and Totino's pizza rolls and things like that, which are not healthy at all. They're very processed, very fatty, very all those things. But you guys, I had to eat what I could eat at the time. Now I'm in my second trimester and things have gotten much better. So, I'm able to eat healthier now. But it's just like, don't beat yourself up. I felt so guilty that like all I could eat were Hot Pockets and things like that. But literally, if I would eat a piece of fresh fruit or 100% juice or something considered healthy, I would throw up 15 minutes later. My body could not take fresh fruit for the first like 12 weeks of my pregnancy. ugh, it was so bad. And so, like, just don't beat yourself up. Same goes for exercise. Exercising is great. It is. But for me, I was so weak because of vomiting so much that if I had gotten up and tried to do a workout, I would have passed out. And that would have been worse for my babies. So, you know, again, now that I'm in my second trimester, things are much better. So things, hopefully for you, will get better. Mine is drastically better in the second trimester. And I walk all the time. My job, I'm always on my feet. And I'm able to eat healthier. But just don't beat yourself up. Eat what you can. And then my other piece of advice is rest. And I know that's hard if you have a full-time job or you're running after other kids. I know it's hard, but just do what you can. Rest when you can and don't feel guilty about it. Go to bed early. I go to bed at like 8 or 8:30, you guys. It's kind of ridiculous. But I need so much sleep. Growing multiple babies is insane. Insanely exhausting. And what I didn't know, this is something I learned during this pregnancy. So, in your first trimester, which is the first 12-ish weeks of your pregnancy, yes, you're growing baby or babies, but you're also growing a placenta or placentas. And so, once the placenta is fully formed and functional, which takes 10 to 12 weeks, then the placenta takes on a whole lot of the baby making stuff. And so, that is why most women, once you get past that 12-week mark, you don't have so much nausea because those hormones that were making you so sick are now pretty much contained to the placenta. And, you know, you start to feel so much better, you get more energy. But in those first 12 weeks, for me, I was growing 2 babies and 2 placentas because I'm having die twins. And so, oh my goodness, I was so exhausted and I didn't understand why, because like you're not showing, you don't really feel pregnant, you feel terrible, but you don't feel pregnant. But all the work is going on inside your body and you feel so exhausted. So just rest, you really need the rest. So you're not lazy, you're not a slacker, really, you need rest. So ask for help when you need it. And just take some naps if you can. I'm not a napper, and I took so many naps because I was just like, I took a nap this morning. And I never nap. I'm not a napper. But I'm just so tired. And I'm in my second trimester, and I'm still really tired. So just rest when you can. Final thing I'm going to talk about, I'm almost done, is I'm going to talk cravings. Because I just thought the cravings thing is so interesting. It's not what I pictured. You know, I pictured just like randomly getting a craving for ice cream and pickles, like you hear. But that's not been my experience, at least in my first trimester. You know, I had so many food aversions, everything on the planet sounded disgusting. But then all of a sudden, I would crave something. And those cravings kind of lasted the whole first trimester. And those were things like Hot Pockets, like I mentioned, Totino's pizza rolls, pretty much anything pizza related. Oh my goodness, I wanted pizza all day long. And then another one that I really craved was cheese. And cheese apparently is a super common pregnancy craving. I don't know why, but cheese for sure, absolutely. And then the other one that I had, and this has carried over highly into my second trimester, and that is like sour gummy candy. And I'm not a big candy person. Candy's fine, but like I don't eat much candy in my normal life. But oh my goodness, like Sour Punch straws and like Rips, oh, so good. And like sour gummy worms, peach rings, oh my goodness. I just want those all the time. Like now that I'm talking about it, I just want to go get some Sour Punch straws so badly right now. Might have to do that after this video. Oh my goodness. It's so random. Because I haven't been like denying myself candies for years and now all of a sudden I want them. No, it's just like the pregnancy thing. I want them. And then food aversions for my first trimester, I feel like I just had an aversion to almost everything because I just didn't want to eat. But the main one that sticks out for me is spicy food. I love spicy food, you guys. Indian food, Thai food, the spicier the better. I always get it like the highest spice level I can at restaurants. That's what I want. Not in my first trimester, I didn't. Oh my goodness, I wanted bland on bland. Like, don't even put salt and pepper on things. Like, nothing. ugh. And it was so sad because a brand new Indian restaurant opened in our town and my husband and I had been so excited, like just waiting to go. And then I got pregnant and Indian food sounded like the most disgusting thing on the planet, which is so weird because it's actually my favorite food. But thankfully, now in my second trimester, that has kind of subsided, and we have gone and gotten our Indian food, and it's delicious. But that was super bizarre, because I'm a major spice gal. I think my taste buds, like, are malfunctioning or something. I don't know. I want all the spice. But first trimester, no spice. Bland on bland on bland. That's what I wanted. I've heard that, like, meat is a pretty common food aversion, but I'm vegetarian, so I didn't experience that. And the only really weird random craving I had was for like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. But I'm vegetarian, so I haven't had a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich in like 7 years. But there were a couple days there that like I couldn't stop thinking about getting a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. I did not give in, because that would have made me even more sick. But that was a weird craving out of nowhere. So, okay, I think that's it, you guys. I hope this was interesting. I would love to hear your stories, what kind of cravings you have had, what books you have found helpful. You guys, I don't really have much of like a pregnant mama community, especially not a twin mama community, so I would love to hear from any of you guys, any advice or tips. This is all new for me, and I'm just really hoping to get to know some of you guys. So, comment down below, say hi, introduce yourself. I would love to get to know you guys, and I will be back next week with another video. And so, me and my cat, who I don't know if you can see her over here at this point, but we will say goodbye for now. Hope you guys have a great day.